Jake was 48 years old when he tied the knot for the first time. His bride, Amanda, had just celebrated her 30th birthday. Almost everyone he knew warned him that it was a bad idea, pointing out the 18-year age difference. They insisted she was from a different generation with contrasting values. But Jake paid no attention. He cherished every moment with Amanda, and just the thought of coming home to his youthful, lively wife filled him with excitement. They had first met at a cafe. Jake was having lunch with a business partner, while Amanda was there sipping coffee with friends. Jake instantly noticed her radiant personality and carefree nature. He managed to strike up a conversation, and one thing led to another. They started dating. Their romance was filled with gentle, affectionate gestures, bouquets of flowers, late-night strolls through the city. Amanda's vibrant energy made Jake feel young again. He felt like he could move mountains just to see her smile and hold her hand. At that time, Amanda worked in human resources. No matter how many times Jake hinted that she should quit, she always refused. She never wanted to be financially dependent on him. In the mornings, he would watch her get ready for work, admiring her golden-toned skin. It made him feel fortunate just to have her by his side. Yesterday, I interviewed a couple of candidates for our team. Amanda said one morning while fastening her jeans. One of them is supposed to start today. Jake loved how passionate she was about her job. "How about we go out tonight?" he suggested. "Sounds great." Amanda smiled, gave him a quick peck on the lips, then headed off to work. That night, he picked her up, and they went to a fancy restaurant. Jake was used to the stares people gave them. Something about a 48-year-old man with a stunning 30-year-old wife always drew attention. But he wore their looks like a badge of honor, proud of her youthful charm and confidence. "So, how was your day? Did you end up hiring someone?" Jake asked as their piping hot entree arrived, filling the air with a delicious aroma. "Yeah, we actually hired two, Ben and Stacy," Amanda replied. Their conversation flowed effortlessly as they relished their meal, listened to the live music, and gazed into each other's eyes. Beneath the table, Jake ran his hand along Amanda's leg, and she flashed him a slightly tipsy smile that sent warmth rushing through him. However, over the next few months, Jake noticed changes in Amanda. She became extra sweet, overly affectionate, always cooking at home instead of urging him to go out to bars or restaurants. One evening, he playfully asked, "Hey, Amanda, what's going on with you? It's like you're making up for something." She just shrugged. "Don't be ridiculous. Unless you don't like it," she teased. "I love it," Jake said, wrapping his arms around her. He kissed her, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Her phone kept buzzing with messages, and every time she checked it, she tilted the screen away from him, something she had never done before. When Jake asked about it, she brushed it off. "It's just work. We're overloaded right now, and I need to be reachable 24/7, she insisted. Then came the night Amanda had to stay late at the office. Jake sent her a quick text, "Be there soon," but she read the message and never replied. Curious, he drove over to pick her up. Parking near the entrance, he waited until he saw two figures emerge from the building, Amanda and a young man. To Jake, the guy looked practically like a kid. They exchanged a brief hug, smiling at each other. A sharp pang of jealousy hit Jake square in the chest. Without thinking, he honked his horn. Amanda glanced over, waved at him, and slid into the passenger seat. "Who was that?" Jake asked. "Just a co-worker. Remember I told you about Ben, the new intern? That's him," Amanda answered casually. "He's so shy. Can you believe he's only 19? She chuckled, and Jake felt a sliver of tension dissipate. If she was referring to Ben as just a kid, perhaps, just perhaps, he was overthinking things. He reminded himself to stay composed, knowing his mind had a tendency to concoct worst-case scenarios. Yet, despite his efforts to push away doubt, Amanda's late nights at work became increasingly frequent. And every time he managed to pick her up, Ben was always with her. It gnawed at him, but he restrained himself from mentioning it. The one time he had voiced his unease, it had erupted into a ferocious argument, culminating in Amanda storming off to stay in a hotel for a week. He had no desire to relive that. So he bottled up his emotions, burying them deep beneath forced smiles. Then, one balmy summer evening, as his messages to her went unanswered yet again, Jake decided to go to her office himself. From the parking lot, he could see the faint glow of light seeping through her office window. With every step up to the third floor, his heartbeat pounded harder, an unshakable sense of dread tightening its grip around his chest. As he reached the dimly lit hallway outside Amanda's office, he noticed the door was slightly ajar. A deafening silence filled the space, until he heard it. Muffled noises, stifled whimpers, soft breathy gasps. Without hesitation, Jake pushed the door open. There, right in front of him, was Amanda, kneeling on the floor before that same boy. Ben's pants hung around his ankles. Amanda's shirt was tossed carelessly aside. The blood drained from Jake's face as Ben scrambled frantically to pull up his trousers, his expression a mixture of horror and guilt. Amanda, trembling, refused to meet Jake's gaze, hastily trying to cover herself as shame washed over her. Fury ignited in Jake's chest like wildfire. In 3 swift strides, he crossed the room, seized Ben by the collar, and yanked him upright. The boy whimpered. Jake clenched his fist, ready to strike. But then, to his disbelief, Ben broke down in tears. Something about the sheer cowardice of the display made Jake recoil. Disgusted, he let go. Ben wasted no time. He bolted out the door and down the stairs, vanishing into the night. Jake turned his gaze back to Amanda, his voice trembling with rage and heartbreak. What did I do wrong? His words were barely above a whisper. I gave you everything. Tears streamed down Amanda's face. Jake, I don't know, she sobbed. I just couldn't stop thinking about him, and now... Her voice cracked as she dissolved into uncontrollable weeping. Desperation overtook her as she flung herself at Jake, wrapping her arms around his neck, clinging to him as if he were her last lifeline. They both cried, Amanda drowning in guilt, Jake in devastation. She pressed frantic, tear-soaked kisses to his cheeks, murmuring over and over, Please, forgive me. I'm so sorry. At first, Jake tried. For 6 agonizing months, they remained trapped in a vicious cycle of fights and painful memories. But no matter how hard he tried to move past it, the image haunted him, Amanda on her knees, Ben standing before her. It was burned into his mind, an unrelenting nightmare. Eventually, he reached his breaking point. He asked her to leave. Soon after, he filed for divorce. Jake found himself reflecting on dreams he had abandoned in his younger years. Getting a big dog, buying a nice car, and setting off on the open road with no destination in mind. Perhaps, now that his marriage lay in ruins, it was time to finally chase those dreams. The wounds of betrayal were still raw, and he had no idea if or when he would ever trust again. As for Amanda, she stayed at the same company for a while before relocating to another city. She remarried, only for that marriage to crumble as well, despite having a child in the process. Ironically, Ben followed her there, and they even attempted a relationship, but it fizzled out before it could truly begin. In the end, Amanda found herself alone. Perhaps it was fate's way of ensuring she faced the consequences of her choices. She had shattered the heart of the one who loved her most, and karma had no intention of letting her forget